I'm Rachel, and today we'll be talking about email signatures. Now, the first question we often get is why customize email signatures? And the answer is that creating a unified signature is the ultimate way to add polish to your emails. It exudes professionalism and clarifies communication. It reemphasizes your brand style and tone, and it adds legitimacy to employees' emails with outside vendors. Particularly for newer employees, it gives them a chance to feel a part of the team. Now, before you get started on designing, you'll want to choose what to include in your signatures. Now, some of the standard practice options are name, phone number, website, and email address, which sometimes feels redundant since you'll be sending an email, but it's always nice to have. But if customers frequent your location, you have a brick and mortar store, or people are often coming into the office, it might make sense for you to add in your address. Pronouns are really increasing in popularity. She, her, he, his, they, them. They're a great addition for inclusivity, and it also gives people an idea of who they're speaking with. Now, social media icons with links can garner some new followers and just let people know what your business is up to. Plus, you can create tracking links if you really want to see where this traffic is coming from. Now, style and formatting. This is a great opportunity to put your brand guide to good use. So for your signature, since we're having a little bit of fun with these, you'll want to choose one of your dominant brand colors to bring attention to either the name or title of the employee, and then use a secondary or even tertiary color for bonus information, like the social icons or buttons. Now, for this, you'll want to avoid neon fonts or things that might be too light to read. If your brand font is preloaded on most computers, that's great, but if not, you'll want to pick a more standard font, because you'll want your signature to appear the same way across Mac, PC, and mobile devices. Most companies have multiple versions of their logo, and you might want to just use your icon rather than the full version of your logo, depending on what your design is like. Although, if you do choose to use your icon, you'll want to make sure to add in your business name as well for clarity. Headshot or not, adding employee photos adds a nice personal touch, but there are a couple of downsides to consider. Now, if you don't have quality images of your employees, it's best to just omit this option. If your photos aren't professional, it'll make your signature look unprofessional. Now, some employees might not feel comfortable including their image. Some people like to keep a sense of anonymity and hide behind the company, and some just feel self-conscious. That's another thing to take into consideration. And then the third thing to think about, which is never fun to talk about, is the possibility of discrimination. If your clients or customers or people seeking customer service help see what your employee looks like, they might treat them a little bit differently. Now, this is something that we want to fight to combat, but it's something to keep in mind on whether or not to include headshots. Now, here are a couple of examples of email signatures that I think are really successful. So Anna's signature, she has a really playful profile photo, and it supplies the main color for the rest of her signature. Now, this is a really fun option, and if you don't have professional photos of your employees yet, you might want to consider including your brand colors in their photo shoot, such as including your main brand color as their background. This one also has a really flashy follow me button for her Instagram, so you can really tell what action she wants you to take, and that's one of the first things that grabs your attention. Now, George's signature, he uses just the main color from the TripAdvisor logo, and they use a black and white image, which is one nice way to make all of your headshots look very consistent. And they also have a disclaimer at the bottom. Now, if you have a larger company, this might be something that's worth adding so that it's always included. But if you're at a smaller company, it might not be something that's necessary for you. Now, in Marie's signature, she uses a really nostalgic font, and she does a really good job of organizing her information. She has her name, her title, and her company at the top, and then has that dividing line between her contact information. She also includes those social buttons in the headshot. It just looks pretty friendly and nice. Now, for the bottom example, this is what I'm a little bit more accustomed to seeing, where the logo is the primary image. So for this person, they still included their company name, which you might argue isn't necessary since it's included in the logo, but they do a nice job of separating the name and title and business with all of the contact info. It's still very clear and easy to find. What I will say on this example is the social media icons really take a back seat. They're not first and foremost, which they don't have to be, but just depends on your goals. At the bottom, it looks like she has a GIF banner, which would be a really good option if you have a new product or something that you're looking to promote. That would be added in outside of this tutorial. Now, after this presentation piece, we'll go in and create a signature. Now we'll go ahead and use one of my favorite tools for creating email signatures, which is the HubSpot free email signature generator. Now, this one's really nice because at the end you can either copy your signature or you can copy the HTML code. So if you're using a CRM like HubSpot, that could be really useful to make sure your signature doesn't break. Now they have multiple template options, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to show you what we decided to do for our Margo email signatures. So I chose template number 1. One of the first things I always do is to turn off the created with HubSpot piece, and that'll just delete this little line that says create your own free signature. While it's nice marketing for HubSpot, it's not necessarily what I want for my business. Now I'll go to the text options. So in here, I'll add first name, last name, job title, which if you have multiple roles or wear multiple hats, it's nice to add a little pipe in between or a bullet just to differentiate. Now for department, this might be more useful for larger companies, but for the companies that I've worked at so far, it hasn't really been necessary. Company name, this is what you'll want to include if you're only using the icon for your image, but for Margo, since our name is our logo, I didn't find it necessary. Now, office phone number. At Margo, we decided not to include our phone numbers in our email signatures since most of our communication is digital, but that's something for you to decide. Website URL is extra important. That's something people always want to see to be able to find your business. And email address is always nice to have just for reference. Now, address, again, if you have a physical location that people come to, that's where you'll add that. And then another important piece is entering your social links. Now, if you want to track these, you can use the Google URL Builder. If you just Google that, it'll come up. And that way you can track with Google Analytics where traffic is coming to. But we didn't find it super necessary for our business. So I just have our LinkedIn company page, our Twitter, and our Instagram. And then for custom field, I chose to put our pronouns. And that just stacks right here underneath my job title. Now, if you click this little paintbrush, then you get a little bit more of the style settings. So for here, we chose our main theme color for the overall, which is this sort of corally color. And then our text color, it's almost black, but not quite, which is just a nice way to extra customize things. And then for the link color, I chose our secondary color of this aqua. And now that affects the social icons. For the font, I chose Tahoma, but honestly, when we paste it into our Gmail signatures, I usually just re-highlight it and select the sans serif font so that it's extra generic and make sure it shows up across mobile and desktop. Now you can adjust the font size here just between small, medium, and large. I just go with medium. And then over on this images tab, this is where you'll upload those images that really make things stand out. So for your profile picture, all of these need to be links. So for the profile, what I do is I go to my LinkedIn profile, right click on my profile image and select copy image address. And that's what I paste in here. You'll want something that's publicly hosted so that it can auto-populate your image. For company logo, for this one, if you have a company logo easily accessible on your site that you can copy the link to, that's great. Or we store our assets in the Google Drive. So I went ahead and made that a publicly shareable link, copied it and placed it here so that it would auto-populate. Now here you can have a little bit of fun too with custom CTA. So this is your call to action. But here I decided, just for the sake of example, to put a book a call button. Now we use Calendly for our scheduling. So I put in my Calendly link with this button, and you can also select your colors here as well. This one could be a tertiary color or secondary color, whatever you think looks best. But if you want to create your own CTA image, like using a more fun font, or if you want to just spice it up a little bit more, you can add the image link here and add your URL. Now, all you have to do is click Create Signature. Now, HubSpot will ask you a couple of qualifying questions, and this is just for them to know. After you've hit Confirm and Submit, This will come up. It'll have a preview of your new shiny email signature. You can choose to copy it, copy the source code, email it to your colleagues. Now, this is a nice option if you need to share it with your team. And what this will do is it will autofill some of the theme colors. But basically, HubSpot will store your cookies. So if you started building a signature and you come back to this page and you haven't cleared your cookies, it should keep your theme colors. But it gives you some options for if you want to add to Gmail, add to HubSpot. Now these, it basically just gives you a little bit of a rundown to say how you'll go ahead and do this. And this is really helpful when sharing with your team. I just go ahead and click copy signature. And there you have it, your brand new customized email signature. Thanks for watching and have a great day.